Would I ever think about return to Coronation Street? I always get asked that, and the answer is yes, of course.
This is the story of how one of Britain's biggest television stars walked away from Coronation Street at the height of his success, amid a tabloid scandal that would see two major characters exit on the exact same day.
When the time comes and the time is right, then yes, there possibly will be a return.
Bradley Walsh spent 2.5 years as Danny Baldwin, winning awards and captivating millions of viewers, but the circumstances surrounding his departure in late 2006 remain one of the soap's most intriguing mysteries. Danny Baldwin strutting around the cobbles stands out in the memories of anyone who watched Coronation Street during the mid-noughties. The flash businessman from Chingford, who turned out to be Mike Baldwin's secret son, delivered affair after affair, explosive family drama, and some of the most memorable scenes in the show's history. When Walsh left the street on New Year's Eve 2006, he took with him a story that's never been fully explained, and the silence that's followed tells us more than any official statement ever could.
Shut, little man! Oi! Oi! He hit me!
It was an accident!
Accident?
You shoved me!
What?
Bradley Walsh walked onto the Coronation Street set in May 2004 at 44 years old, carrying with him a career path that had zigzagged through nearly every corner of British entertainment. The Watford-born lad had kicked footballs professionally for Brentford and Barnet in the early 80s, then worked as a Rolls-Royce engineer before entertaining holidaymakers as a Pontin bluecoat and building a reputation as a stand-up comedian. Acting roles had started trickling in by the late 90s. Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels put him in front of cinema audiences, and Mike Bassett, England manager, gave him a taste of bigger productions in 2001.
Come on, Blondie, let's get you over to the boozer. See if a quick pint will make it better.
Don't call me Blondie. The name's Les.
Yeah, righto, Len.
ITV's short-lived soap Night and Day brought him proper television drama experience across 52 episodes between 2002 and 2003, and he'd even taken on Les Miserables in the West End during that same period. The variety of work showed range, but none of it carried the weight or visibility that Coronation Street would bring. With shows like Wheel of Fortune, which led him into acting, Coronation Street represented something different though. This was the big league. Producers originally planned to call the character Vic Baldwin, but Walsh asked them to change the name to Danny in honor of his late father Daniel, who'd recently passed away. That personal touch mattered to him, and the emotional investment showed in every scene he filmed. Danny Baldwin arrived on the cobbles on the 31st of May 2004, relocating from Chingford to Weatherfield to help his uncle, Mike Baldwin, run the underworld factory, and trouble followed him like a shadow.
Is this it?
Well, yeah.
Is it like the TARDIS, you know, small on the outside but big on the inside?
You've looked at the books.
Within weeks of settling in, the charming businessman had embarked on a brief fling with Sunita Parekh, who didn't realize he was married until his wife Frankie and sons Warren and Jamie followed him north. The stage was set for chaos. 392 episodes over the next 2.5 years made Walsh one of the street's most prominent characters. What a roller coaster those episodes turned out to be. Everything changed in 2005 after Harry Baldwin died. Danny's mother Viv dropped a bombshell that rewrote the family tree completely, revealing that Mike Baldwin wasn't Danny's uncle at all, but his biological father, and Harry had never been Danny's dad in the first place. Shockwaves rippled through the Baldwin family, and the writers suddenly had fertile ground for dramatic confrontations between Walsh and Johnny Briggs, who played Mike.
By the way, you met my two best mates, Tommy and Len.
The paternity revelation created a dynamic between Walsh and Briggs that gave Coronation Street some of its finest dramatic moments during that period. Mike Baldwin had been a street legend since the late 70s, and suddenly, Danny wasn't just another businessman arriving to shake things up, but Mike's own flesh and blood, denied and hidden for decades. The power struggles at Underworld took on new meaning when father and son clashed over business decisions, and viewers watched two strong personalities collide repeatedly. Danny's resentment over being kept secret mixed with grudging respect for Mike's empire building, creating a relationship that felt authentic in its messiness. When Mike's mind started slipping, all that unresolved history between them added layers of tragedy to scenes that could have been straightforward melodrama in less capable hands.
One question I've got to ask. Is this a local custom? Every new bloke you meet, you have to have a go at him? I mean, I don't mind. It's just a lot to be a bit prepared, you know what I'm saying?
Danny's love life kept viewers glued to their screens, though, and his affair with Leanne Battersby stands as one of the most explosive storylines of that era. The relationship began as passion and became betrayal when Danny started seeing Leanne, who happened to be his son Jamie's girlfriend. October 2005 brought the exposure through an overlooked phone message, and the revelation tore the Baldwin family apart in spectacular fashion on screen. Mike Baldwin's decline came next. Alzheimer's disease claimed the legendary character bit by bit, and Danny initially exploited his father's illness by securing power of attorney for business purposes. But watching Mike deteriorate changed something in him. Genuine devastation replaced calculation. And when Mike died in April 2006, 12.34 million viewers tuned in to watch the emotional farewell.
How much further is it? Are we nearly there yet? We're nearly there yet?
I'm hardly a kid, am I? Nearly where?
Leanne brought fresh drama when she discovered a later will that left everything to Adam Barlow instead of Danny. £100,000 was her price for silence. Danny paid up, but the manipulation and betrayal kept coming from all sides, and the hits just kept landing. Walsh's final major storyline before leaving pushed into disturbing territory. Danny discovered his ex-wife Frankie was having an affair with his own son Jamie, which triggered a violent breakdown that shocked viewers across the country. Taking Jamie to a viaduct, Danny nearly drowned the lad in a fit of rage, and the scenes were dark and visceral in a way that showcased Walsh's dramatic range better than anything he'd done before. Awards reflected his impact clearly. Best Dramatic Performance at the British Soap Awards in 2006, Best Actor at the Inside Soap Awards the same year, and the TV Quick Award for Best Soap Actor all landed in Walsh's hands, while a nomination for Most Popular Actor at the National Television Awards in 2005 had already signaled his rising status. 2 years on the show, and he'd collected more accolades than actors who'd been there for decades. Viewing figures during Walsh's tenure remained strong despite industry-wide decline across all soaps. Around 11 million viewers on average watched in 2005, with the highest episode that year pulling in 14.36 million people, and even in 2006, as Walsh prepared to leave, the show averaged just over 10 million. Those were the days when soaps still commanded truly massive audiences. Behind the scenes, though, something was brewing that would change everything. The Sunday Mirror dropped a bombshell in September 2006, just 3 months before Walsh and his on-screen wife were due to leave the show. Walsh and Deborah Stevenson, who played his screen wife Frankie Baldwin, were having an off-screen romance, according to the tabloid, and both actors were married to other people while Deborah was 4 months pregnant. Explosive doesn't begin to cover the allegations. Deborah's husband James had been warned about the relationship by another Coronation Street cast member, according to the paper, and he'd allegedly found intimate text messages on Deborah's phone. Two co-stars who'd grown dangerously close while filming their passionate on-screen marriage was the picture the story painted. Max Clifford, the celebrity publicist representing both actors, issued a carefully worded statement that tried to control the narrative. Walsh and Stevenson had actually met 5 years earlier at a charity golf event in Marbella, he revealed, and they'd become friends before Walsh's wife Donna suggested Deborah would be perfect to play his on-screen wife. Time spent working together had made them very close, and they are very fond of each other, Clifford admitted, but both insisted they hadn't had an affair. The timeline of events in those final months tells its own story. September brought the tabloid exposé, and suddenly, two of Coronation Street's most prominent cast members were front-page news for all the wrong reasons. Filming continued through October and November while the media circus swirled around them, with photographers camping outside the Granada studios and speculation building in every tabloid column. December arrived with official announcements that both would be leaving, though ITV tried to frame it as planned departures rather than scandal-driven exits. The fact that both Walsh and Stevenson had young families made the situation even more complicated, with Walsh's wife Donna and their son Barney caught up in the media frenzy alongside Stevenson's husband and her pregnancy. Whatever was actually happening behind closed doors, the public perception had already formed, and managing that perception while continuing to film emotional scenes together must have been brutal for everyone involved. Here's where it gets really interesting, though. The Sunday Mirror quoted an insider who said something that's never been contradicted. One of the reasons they both wanted to leave the street was to get away from each other, put a bit of distance between them, and be with their families. They thought they were getting too close. Both actors admitted to feeling a deep love for each other, though both firmly denied having a physical relationship. Walsh's response to the scandal came out brief and dismissive. Nothing had affected his life, he told reporters, and everything was blown out of proportion with misquotes. The timing of what happened next makes it impossible to ignore, though. The exact same day, Bradley Walsh and Deborah Stevenson both departed Coronation Street on the 31st of December 2006, not a week apart or a month apart, but on identical dates. Their final scenes aired as the clock struck midnight on New Year's Eve. ITV's official line came out straightforward enough, stating that Bradley is taking a break from the show, but his exit storyline has yet to be decided. Walsh himself sounded upbeat in his public statements, telling reporters he felt fantastic about getting to spend time at home after a good 2.5 years on the street. "Yeah, who knows? Why not?" was his response when asked about returning. An interesting detail reveals Walsh was thinking long-term, though, even as he prepared to leave. Bill Tarmey, who played Jack Duckworth, had given him advice that Walsh turned into contract language, and in 2013, Walsh revealed what Tarmey had told him. "Whatever you do, son, never let them kill you off, because one day it'll be your pension." Danny Baldwin would not die. Walsh ensured that through his contract, and the character's exit was deliberately left open-ended in quite the dramatic send-off. Selling his 60% share of Underworld to Paul Connor came first. Then Danny took Jamie to a viaduct in a tense scene where viewers genuinely didn't know if he'd jump. Jamie forgave his father, and Danny walked off into the darkness before being declared a missing person. Police pulled a body from the canal on the 18th of December, but it wasn't Danny. New Year's Eve brought the final scene when Danny phoned Jamie from Spain, revealing he was alive and well with a beautiful woman beside him. Events had been manipulated to split up Jamie and Frankie, and Danny got the last word as always. The character rode off into the sunset, very much alive and very much able to return. Has the full truth about why Bradley Walsh left ever actually been told, though. Walsh has never given a comprehensive interview explaining what really happened, and that's what makes this story so fascinating. Left at his own request was the official reason, which is corporate speak that tells us absolutely nothing. A golden handcuffs deal with ITV had been signed in April 2006, 8 months before his departure, keeping him on Coronation Street while also developing other drama series and entertainment shows with him was what the network wanted, and a 6-figure sweetener was reportedly offered to stay on the show. Walsh turned it down. Why would someone turn down a lucrative deal to stay on Britain's most-watched soap, especially when they were winning awards and at the peak of their popularity? Tabloid coverage from September 2006 suggests the situation with Deborah Stevenson was a factor you can't ignore. That unnamed insider's quote about both wanting to leave to get away from each other and put a bit of distance between them has never been contradicted by either actor. Both departing on the identical day after months of speculation about their relationship speaks volumes. Walsh has never confirmed this was the real reason, though. Speaking to Holy Soap in 2010, he said that if the time was right for both him and the show, he'd love to go back because it was a fantastic show and a great character. You never say never in this business, so maybe If the Moons Were Aligned That Way came out in 2013 when talking to The Mirror. The Jonathan Ross Show in 2014 brought perhaps his most revealing non-answer. I don't know. You know what it's like. You never know the circumstances. You never know what's going to happen. You never know what's around the corner, other than more corners. The art of saying nothing while appearing to say something has been perfected by that man. Walking away from Coronation Street turned out to be one of the best career moves Bradley Walsh ever made, whatever the real circumstances of his departure might have been. Hosting TV's 50 Greatest Stars and appearing in ITV dramas filled 2007, just months after leaving the cobbles. The Sarah Jane Adventures for the BBC came in 2008, then 2009 arrived, the year that would define his future. D.S. Ronnie Brooks in Law and Order UK became Walsh's role, the British adaptation of the legendary American crime drama where he'd appear in 53 episodes over 5 years and prove he could carry a serious drama. More significantly, though, 2009 was also the year he began hosting The Chase for ITV. The Chase transformed Walsh into a household name in a way Coronation Street never quite did. Introducing contestants to the fearsome chasers as the affable host turned out to be his perfect role, and the show became one of ITV's biggest daytime hits, while Walsh has been hosting it for over 15 years now. Daily episodes, millions of viewers, and a salary that's made him one of Britain's highest-paid television presenters followed. Graham O'Brien, companion to Jodie Whittaker's 13th Doctor, was Walsh's character from 2018 to 2022 across 23 episodes. Science fiction royalty for a lad who'd started out playing football for Brentford. A revived Blankety Blank for the BBC has been his since 2020. Gladiators as co-host with his son Barney started in 2024, and stage shows tour the country regularly. The Pratt Pack Tour kicked off in 2024 and continued into 2025, taking him across UK stages in a format he'd mastered over decades of live performance. Hosting the Royal Variety Performance in 2023 put him front and centre for one of British television's most prestigious annual events, and Channel 5's Bradley Walsh's Comedy Legends documentary series let him celebrate the comedians who'd influenced his own career. Breaking Dad, the travel series with his son Barney, has run for 6 series, with a 7th expected in March 2025, showing that the father-son dynamic translates into ratings gold for ITV. The work keeps coming, the schedule stays packed, and at 65, he shows no signs of slowing down. $25 million is his estimated net worth. Not bad for someone who left soap opera security behind. June 2023 brought a sighting of Walsh dining with Barbara Knox, who plays Rita Tanner, near Manchester. Speculation about a potential return to Coronation Street sparked immediately. The tabloids got excited, and then nothing materialized. Danny Baldwin remains alive in the Coronation Street universe, but Bradley Walsh hasn't returned to play him. 65 years old now, Walsh lives in a £2.5 million converted barn in Epping with his wife Donna Darby, whom he married in 1997, and their son Barney. His relationship with Coronation Street appears positive in public. He's never ruled out a return, but he's also never confirmed one either. What do we actually know about why Bradley Walsh left Coronation Street? Departing at exactly the same time as Deborah Stevenson came after tabloid reports of an intense off-screen relationship between them. Both admitted to feelings of deep love while denying a physical affair. An insider claimed they wanted to leave to get away from each other. Turning down a lucrative deal to stay on the show happened despite being at the peak of his success and popularity. Walsh has never sat down and given a full, honest account of what really happened, though. Left at his own request remains the official line, and he's stuck to variations of that story for nearly 20 years. Perhaps the truth is exactly what was reported in 2006, with two married co-stars getting too close, realizing the danger, and making the difficult decision to walk away from their jobs to protect their families. Perhaps there's more to it that we'll never know. Perhaps Walsh simply fancied a change, and the timing with Stevenson's departure was purely coincidental. What we can say with certainty is that his departure remains one of Coronation Street's most intriguing mysteries. Actors who've left in acrimony usually slag off producers and burn bridges, but Walsh has maintained a diplomatic silence that's lasted decades, never bad-mouthing the show, never revealing behind-the-scenes secrets, and never confirming or denying the tabloid speculation that dominated the headlines when he left. 4 decades in entertainment have given Walsh plenty of practice chatting easily with contestants on The Chase and guests on his various shows, which makes that sustained silence about his Coronation Street exit all the more striking. A story sits there that he's chosen not to tell. Danny Baldwin's on-screen life was an open book of scandal, affairs, and explosive revelations, which creates a certain irony. Bradley Walsh's real reasons for walking away from the role, though, that's remained behind closed doors, known only to those who were there. Nearly 2 decades have passed since Bradley Walsh last stood on those famous cobbles. An extraordinary career has been built. One of Britain's most beloved television personalities emerged, and success that few soap actors ever manage has been achieved. Danny Baldwin was left alive, the door was left open, and the character could theoretically return at any time. Walsh's current status as one of the country's busiest and highest-paid presenters makes a return seem increasingly unlikely, though. The full truth about why he really left Coronation Street in 2006, walking away from awards, acclaim, and a lucrative contract, might remain one of British television's best-kept secrets. The official story, the tabloid speculation, and a notable absence of any detailed explanation from the man himself is what we're left with. Danny Baldwin was all about dramatic revelations and explosive truths, which makes it fitting that the actor who played him has kept the biggest revelation of all to himself.